All right, it is 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 12th, 2023, and I'll call to order the meeting of the Ottawa City Planning Commission. Would you read the roll, please?
Member King.
Here.
Member Crowley.
Here.
Member Elmer.
Here.
Member Starsnick Dean.
Here.
Member Names. Vice Chair Panika.
Yep.
Chair Link.
Here. All right, public comments. Persons wishing to address the City Planning Commission regarding items on the agenda may do so as that agenda item is called. Persons who wish to address the City Planning Commission regarding items not on the agenda and that are under the jurisdiction of the City Planning Commission may do so at the time when called upon by the chair. Comments on personal matters and matters pending in the court or other outside tribunals are not permitted. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Any public comment entered via online chat will not be recognized or commented upon. Any presentation is for informational purposes only. The Planning Commission will take comments under advisement. At this time, I would like to ask the Planning Commission members to make a declaration of any conflict of interest or of any outside or ex parte communication that might influence their ability to hear all sides on any item on the agenda so that they might come to a fair decision.
Mr. Chairman, I think the matter on the agenda presents a conflict of interest for me. So with your permission, I'd like to recuse myself.
That is fine. Does anybody have any objections to that? Thank you. Thank you. That was Commissioner Juanita, by the way, so we get that. All right, consent agenda. 1A, consider the April 27th, 2023 study session minutes for approval.
Do we need to do these all?
What's that?
Do we need to do one by one?
Yes,
Okay. I'll move that we approve the April 27th study session minutes.
motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item B, consider the May 10th, 2023 meeting minutes for approval. Motion, sure, second.
Second.
Couple of seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item C, consider the May 25th, 2023 study session minutes for approval.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item D, consider the June 14th, 2023 meeting minutes for approval. There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And last but not least, item E, consider the June 29th, 2023 study session minutes for approval.
So moved.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, they all pass. Next on the agenda is public hearings. Item number 1, rezone for 2209 South Princeton Street, Days Inn, Omi Say Ram Inc. and Big Bear Enterprises LLC. I'm going to open the public hearing and ask staff for their presentation.
Good evening. I received an application for a rezone for 2209 South Princeton, formerly Days Inn. The application is to rezone from C3 to commercial mixed use commercial residential to accommodate dormitory student housing. It is located just west of where Walmart currently is, and right across the street from Starbucks. It's just for reference point. It's currently zoned commercial. It is in a sea of commercial there. And its future land use, it was predicted to be commercial as well. The surrounding land uses include low density commercial such as hotels, retail, restaurants, fast food, etc. And so this is a pretty good fit. Has a lot of the accommodations that would be needed for student housing or would be ideal for student housing in the area. This is a better view of the site. And I know the one that we had previously was pretty small. So you have the Walmart parking lot there on the east side, and then Princeton there on the west. And then there's the parking lot right below. They do share a drive with what will be a Mexican restaurant, which I don't recall what the name of that's going to be. We can go back to this later if you have any questions about the site. So this does meet the comprehensive goal of housing equality and diversity by supporting development of affordable and appropriate housing for all segments of the community. And it also recognizes the need for student housing in Ottawa. MUCR, mixed use commercial, was recommended as the best option. The other alternatives were R3, which would allow dormitories by right with a conditional use permit, or a PUD, plan unit development overlay district. With the surrounding area being commercial, the mixed use commercial residential is a better fit than these other two. It's going to be spot zoning regardless what we do, which means that it's out of character. It's an island of zoning within all commercial district. But with the commercial component remaining in place with the mixed use commercial residential, it's the best fit for this rezoning. So the mixed use district, with mixed use commercial residential, it allows for anything that is allowed in our medium density residential, which is R2, and our high density residential, which is R3. It also allows for anything that's in commercial, the commercial C1 and C2. So those are our, so that's what that combination means. And so any of the conditional uses that would be allowed in any of those districts are also allowed with this mixed use residential commercial. And that does include student housing or in dormitories with a conditional use permit. And let me clarify, it's conditional use permit if it's over 30 beds. So if there's student housing and there's only 30 beds, that does not require conditional use permit in R3 or mixed use residential. This is just to cover what is the permitted uses for this would be something we're going to cover at a later date. We did introduce the conditional use permit at our last study session, but that's not part of what we're discussing today. This is just a conversation on the rezone at this moment. So that one I didn't remember. I apologize for that. I've gone through the 13 points that we have that staff needs to review to see if this is a good fit or not, if this rezoning is appropriate, and finding nothing that is out of character. It does fit with the area, the intent. It's going to have minimal impact on the surrounding uses in the area. It also is going to be doing a service, I believe, to the area by providing updates and having it to be put to better use. It's going to be maintained. Not that it. So it does provide a public service that is aside from meeting the housing need that we have for students. With the mixed use residential commercial, if and when the need for student housing, if OU builds something somewhere else, they still have the option to use the space commercially. If they wanted to go back to hotel, they would need to rezone because hotel use is not one of the uses that's allowed in mixed use commercial residential. So we need to go back through and have it rezoned back to C3 if that was something they wanted to do. But in any other case, they could still do workforce housing, much like Econo Lodge has done, or they could be turned into something commercial as well. There were concerns about traffic and parking out of, which might be more appropriate to discuss with the conditional use permit. If you'd like me to discuss some of those points now, I can, or we can save it for another.
I don't know if those are appropriate for this or not. I think they're more appropriate when we talk about
Okay.
conditional use. Does everybody? Okay.
And if you would like me to go through the 13 points, I haven't gone through them. There's nothing that stands out as a red flag as to why this shouldn't go forward. And with that, that is
I've read them, so I mean,
okay.
is everybody comfortable with what they say? All right, so save some time.
Okay, so that is the conclusion of my presentation. We do have the applicant here in the room. If you have any questions for him, At this time, I'm open for questions if you have any.
Two questions for you. One, were appropriate notices, since we don't have anybody here, were appropriate notices sent out to, I think it's residents on a rezone within 200 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do our, I went by to yesterday, do our rezoning laws require posting on the, I know some communities require a posting on the property, that the property is going to be up for rezoning and when the public hearing. Do we require that? Do you know?
I have not seen that. It's something we could definitely investigate and look into. I've not seen that in this.
I was in Lawrence today and there was one that had rezoning placards on it, and I've seen them in some of the metro in the city, and I didn't see one out there.
That
So I
would be
didn't know.
an excellent way to inform the community that things are changing aside from just the notifications within 200 feet.
I think it's just another way to make
visual.
things more
Mhm.
transparent.
Yes, I know that there's been just because open discussion at the moment. There was some chatter on Ottawa Facebook, on the Kansas Facebook about not only this, but the other hotel that's being rezoned into residential. And it seems like as if there was a lot of confusion for people who were online. They didn't know that this was even, and I didn't say anything because I didn't know what was or was not appropriate. But it would have been nice to have had something. I went out to Ottawa's Facebook page and I didn't see anything on Ottawa's Facebook page about even having our meeting tonight. I think that it would be something really great to be able to put out, because everybody who's part of Ottawa Facebook page, it also goes out to the Kansas Facebook page, and it just pings everybody who's in that database. And it really will, it's an easy way of communicating open public hearings, more than just a sign. And I know that the notification is normally 250 feet around, but with it being commercial all the way around, it's still the community who would like to know what's going on. There was a lot of chatter and misinformation that was out there. So
Maybe at our next study session or a study session in the near future, you could put on there that, put an item on. So we talk about notification through social media, because I know the city commission puts their agendas on the City of Ottawa government page. I have never seen ours. And so I think that
Right.
might be something we could do to help again.
it's getting information out to the public so that whenever they do have the opportunity or see something that they want to voice about, it's more than just a complaint. It's something that they can come in and actually be at the podium. Mhm.
So next, I guess, does the applicant have a presentation to make, or are you just here for, if we have questions or?
For questions.
Okay, does anybody have any
Pretty
questions
straightforward
at
as
this
far as I'm
time?
concerned, but
Yeah.
I'll certainly answer anything you've got.
I actually just have a question about the lot itself, looking at this picture. So am I reading this right, that there really isn't any entrance to the east side other than through that shared driveway?
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
Okay. I didn't realize where that property line was until we saw this zoomed in.
Yeah.
That would explain why a fence wouldn't work very well. on
Yeah,
that.
and that could be a lot of times, that one time was a K-link, I think, and I don't know whether it still is or not. I don't know whether it's still under Kansas Highway Department's jurisdiction, but if it is, they say how far apart driveways have to be, and it may be to put both of those businesses in there, they had to have driveways. So, I mean, that would be something to be a
It
long
would have
time
been
ago.
then, but it isn't now,
Yeah. So,
because then it's now City of Ottawa instead of US 59.
Could you step up to the microphone? People online wouldn't be able to hear you.
Brett Chartier, Crown Realty, 336 South Main. Just to answer those questions, yeah, that entrance is now, that's the City of Ottawa street, no longer US 59. So its jurisdiction is in the city, not with KDOT. They are looking at, and we'll have to bring that in with a site plan to do it, but looking at fencing around the property from a security standpoint for the students. And then also adding a sliding entrance gate probably north of the pool area there on the west side, and then over here on the east side where it turns and goes back north, be a sliding gate. Of course, it would comply with police, security, also fire, that it would allow them entrance and access to the property. It'd be a coded system where the kids could hit it with their key code and be able to access it, but it would also be a little more secure for them, that somebody couldn't come in there with a vehicle and pop their door and steal things, make it, at least keep the good guys out, you know. The hardened criminals probably can figure out a way to get it in, but I don't think we're gonna have that kind of an issue here. And, you know, as far as the traffic study scenario, we might be getting ahead of ourselves here, but they're looking at, there's 90 parking spots in this setup currently. They're probably looking at 70 to top end 80 kids being in this facility. So there's adequate parking there. And then they're also going to provide a shuttle. So there won't be, you know, 75, 80 cars coming out of there every day. It'll be a shuttle working back and forth to the university. And then, of course, some of the students will have vehicles, but about on OU's campus, about only 50% actually have vehicles. So.
And should this pass today, we have a planning study session on a Thursday that's going to be a regular commission meeting, and we're going to have a hearing on the conditional use permit at that time. Will you be able to attend that meeting? So
When's that?
The 27th of July at noon.
Yeah.
And we'll
Make
have
it happen.
another hearing like this. Sometimes there are more people who come to a conditional use permit hearing.
Yeah.
Than come to a zoning hearing. So it'd be nice if you were back so you could answer those questions.
Sure.
Again.
You bet.
Any other questions for the applicant? Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak? Hearing or seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right. Discussion on the application for rezone or a motion to accept the findings of the city staff as presented or to modify them. Chairman, make a motion. You have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Crowley seconded. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Member King,
Yes.
Vice Chair Winnicott,
He's
Member-
used himself, please note that.
Member Elmer,
Yes.
Member Means, Member Crowley,
Yes.
Chair Lantis,
Yes.
Member Stresnick.
Here, yes. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, motion passes. Now we need to talk about or make a motion to approve, to recommend to the city commission approval or denial of the rezone.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Crowley made the motion.
And second.
Jana. Brain, sorry. Made the-
You
made the
said-
second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
All right. Member Stresnick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Winnicott, Member Elmer,
Yes.
Member Means, Member Crowley,
Yes.
Chair Lantis,
Yes.
Member King.
Yes.
You know, we didn't look, did anybody look to see if Commissioner Maines was on Zoom?
That's two
He's not,
participants on there.
All right, so is there any new business?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the old business, I think I'd like to take just a second. Tonight is our planner's last meeting with us. Jenna, we've enjoyed having you here. You've given us a lot of valuable advice and been a good sounding board for us on some things. We hate to see you go, but we hope good thoughts for your future. Thank you for helping us out.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Announcements, the next regularly scheduled meeting, planning commission special meeting. Let me try this again. The next regularly scheduled planning commission study session with a special meeting will be Thursday, July 27th, 2023 at noon. The next regularly scheduled planning commission regular meeting will be Wednesday, August 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. There's no further business. I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.